Hello, Year 11, Miss McGurr here. I hope you're all really well and not missing school too much, but we miss you, of course. So I'm here to talk to you about a subject called sociology that we teach at Ashton Sixth. I teach two of the exam papers, so 3 papers in total, and Mr. Rees teaches the other one. I'm just going to talk to you about some of the kind of key issues and concepts that we look at in sociology and give you a taste of what the subject will be like. I'm just going to present in PowerPoint, so if you bear with me for a minute. Those of you that had me for history last year will know that I'm not so wonderful at this, so you just have to bear with me, okay? Okie doke. So here, A-level sociology and introduction. What you need now is a piece of paper and a pen so you can write down what you think the answers to these questions are. So question number 1, how many people live in the UK? Is it A, 12 million, B, 35 million, C, 66 million, or D, 93 million? Question 2, of the total amount of people who live in the UK, what percentage come from an ethnic minority background? So that means Afro-Caribbean, Asian, Eastern European. Is it 4%, 14%, 24%, or 40%? Question number 3, sorry, these have gone a bit funny at the bottom. What percentage of the UK prison population is female? Is it 5%, 7%, 10%, or 14%? That's what it says at the bottom there. Question 4, how often are black people stopped and searched in the UK compared to white people? Are they 2 times more likely to be stopped and searched, 4 times more likely, 7 times more likely, or 9 times more likely? Right, the next question is to do with pupils that receive free school meals at school. So what I want you to think about here is compared to pupils that don't get free school meals, how much more likely is a person that gets free school meals to be excluded from school? Is it 1 time higher, 3 times higher, 4 times higher, or 7 times higher? And the last question, what percentage of individuals in the UK describe themselves as having no religious affiliation, so no religion at all? Is it 36%, 53%, 71%, or 84%? If you want to pause it down just to read through those, and I'm sorry about the bottom, I'm not quite sure what happened there. I'm going to go through the answers now, okay? So you might be surprised by some of them. The population one, you're probably pretty good on, 66 million. The total number of people who come from an ethnic minority background is actually only 14%. What percentage of the prison population is women, female is only 5%. So 95% of all people in prison are male. How much more likely is a black person to be stopped and searched? Is 9 times more likely than a white person. Pupils who receive free school meals are 4 times more likely to face an exclusion from school at some point. And 53% of the population say they have no religion at all. Now, these aren't just random questions I selected, they're all to do with sociology because they're all to do with society. And in fact, when we study sociology, we look at crime and deviance in society, we look at how the education system works. So gender, ethnicity, these are all really important concepts within the subject of sociology. So what in fact is it? What is sociology? So some people get it confused with psychology, and psychology is about the brain and the individual. But sociology is about groups of people and how they behave in society and the study of society generally. The two subjects do go really well together because they both look at research methods too. But you know, some people might be you might have heard some people critical about sociology, saying it's just, you know, it's just common sense, but it really isn't just common sense, and it's not about personal opinions. Sociologists go to university, they get degrees, and they have to carry out research. So what they do is they come up with a theory, then they'll carry out some research to try and prove their theory. And so, for example, they might want to look at why girls and boys do differently in school. So at the moment, girls out-achieve boys quite significantly in all stages of education. So sociologists have been looking at why this is, and then what they can do is they work closely with the government to try and implement policies to make things better, to address problems in society. So sociology really does expand your knowledge of the world around you. So it's a really, really important subject. Now, one thing you'll look at quite early on, probably with Mr. Rees, is this idea of nature versus nurture. What makes the person that you are? Is it your genes? Is it in your genes? That's nature. or is it how you are brought up? So that means nurture. And this debate's gone on since, sociology is a social science, but it's not a pure science. So the nature idea is favoured by scientists, that we have innate or natural behaviour that we are born with, whereas sociologists take the view that actually behaviour is learnt, and this comes from having contact with other people and other groups of people, and that's what sociologists believe makes a person and groups of people. And the way this happens is through socialisation, and very early on you'll learn about socialisation. It's a massively important concept in the subject. And really what socialisation is about is how do we know what to do and how do we know how to behave? And the answer is we're socialised into it. And there are two forms of socialisation. The first is known as primary socialisation, and this is normally happening with your family, and it takes place from the minute you're born, really. It's the early years before you start going out into the wider world to school. And then secondary socialisation will take place in the wider world, so at school, in wider society, in your job, in your social time. And secondary socialisation doesn't involve your family, it involves other people around you. So it can be teachers or your friends, it can be the media, or it could be a religion that you follow. So primary happens in the family in the first years of your life, and secondary comes later on when you move out into the wider world. And both of them do what we call transmit norms and values and skills for us to be able to perform our roles in society. So, for us to be able to come to school and be a pupil, to go out into the world of work, to be part of a team, a football team or a netball team. So we all have to have shared norms and values and shared skills in order to fit into society, so it's not chaotic. Now, within socialisation, there's something called gender role socialisation. Sociologists look at gender really, really closely to see the difference between how genders achieve and how they act out in life. So gender role socialisation refers to the way that boys and girls are treated. Now, think back to when you were little, and if you've got a brother or sister, were you treated differently to your brother and sister? For example, what kind of behaviour is encouraged with each gender? So I remember when I was at primary school, girls were encouraged to play in what was called home corner. So we had a little kitchen and they'd do the washing up, and boys were encouraged to go outside and have sort of rough play. And even at secondary school, when I was at secondary school, girls didn't do subjects such as resistant materials. We had to do what was called cooking then, and domestic science, I think it's called. So behaviour encouraged people into their gender roles very much so. And even at a very young age, think about the kind of toys and the type of clothes you had, the colour of them, what kind of toy were they? And this very much plays a part in how we are gendered through socialisation. So I did some Google searches of children's toys. I put girls' toys in and boys' toys in, and the girls' toys came up as pink ones. As you can see at the top, you can see we've got the home corner, we've got a pram, we've got princesses, we've got pretty things. And then at the bottom, we have the sort of roughy-tufty guns and diggers and Thomas the Tank Engine and vicious spiders that boys apparently prefer to play with. So even from a very, very young age, children are gendered into a role through toys. So hopefully what you have learnt, some key ideas that you've learnt today, is first what nature is. So it's natural behaviour, innate or inborn behaviour. Nurture is the way that behaviour is shaped by our upbringing in society. Our culture is the different language and the beliefs, norms and values, the way we dress, that make up each society. And although they're different in each society, all society has their cultures, okay? So norms are the way in which society expects us to behave in particular situations. So, for example, the way you behave at school, you arrive on time, you wear your uniform, you do your work, you're polite to each other. And everyone has to buy into these norms in order for society to run smoothly and not be chaotic. And values, what we think is important. So what society has agreed is important to society. And then finally, socialisation, which is the way that we learn the culture of society, learn how to fit in with the society. And that can be both primary in the home and secondary in the wider world, for example, at school. Now, what I'd like you to do, if you're thinking about doing sociology, I'd quite like you to do a holiday task. So what I'd like you to do is choose a country, It can be any country you want in the world. I want you to find out about the culture, the norms and values of that country. And then what I want you to do is compare and contrast it to the culture, norms and values of our country, of Britain, okay? You can present it as you want. You can do a PowerPoint for me if you want. You can do a poster. You can just do a piece of writing if you like. You can use pictures. I'd like a nice piece of work showing how you understand that different societies have different norms, values and cultures. Finally, I just do a quick outline of the course. We do the course. So there are 3 exam papers. In year 1, we do the education paper, which I teach with theory and methods. And Mr. Rees will teach you the family and households part of paper 2. That's in year 1. There's no exam. We don't do AS exams. And then in year 2, you'll do the second part of Mr. Rees's paper, which is the media. And you'll do my paper 3, which is the crime and deviance one with theory and methods. The exams are all 2 hours. The exam will be used as AQA if you want to go and have a look on the website to get a head start. There is no coursework. And the question types, there's a real variety of question types. They start with 4-mark ones, which sort of warm you up to some very meaty 30-mark essays, okay? So that's the course outline. If you have any questions at all, you can email me at any time, louisemcgregor@ashtonpark.net, or you can mail him, davidrees@ashtonpark.net too, okay? So please do get in touch if you want to ask me anything else. Hopefully that's all made sense and interested you and might make you consider taking sociology at A-level. I'd love to see you in the classroom with me. Have a good summer, take care and see you soon. Bye.